Welcome back, guys. This is Gaming with Austin. We're going to continue on building to turn the farm, like we have here, into a vertical farm. I'm lowering it just right to where I can place good. Everything's good right there. The reason I'm doing rapid machine gun right clicking is so I can do it much more quickly. That's why I'm doing it in a machine gun motion. And with the machine gun motion, I could do it more quickly. I was just trying to make it just right. To where I can place it without touching the other pieces too. One of the worst movies on the International Movie Database are the ones involving Justin Bieber. Because people don't really seem to like him. His music is terrible. His music is garbage, literally. Literally, his music is garbage. Seriously. Have you ever listened to Justin Bieber before? This is just my opinion. Feel free to share your opinion. His music is garbage, in my opinion. This is one proof that countries import other countries' garbage. That's one piece of evidence to suggest that America imports garbage from other countries too. Pretty funny seeing that many of us have you heard of Jeff Dunham all over the map? There was a scene that took place in Norway, which Jeff Dunham and Peanut were talking about countries importing other countries' garbage. Eventually, Nazi Germany, imprisonment rates were really high over there before the end of World War II, as part of Hitler's Holocaust. There's proof that a Holocaust really did happen. There's plenty of proof out there to prove that the Holocaust really did happen. I know some people will deny the truth, but it really did happen. What we need around the world are laws that criminalize Holocaust denial. That's what we need. Laws that criminalize Holocaust denial. Much of Europe has that. Because, you know, Holocaust denial is nothing but a bunch of bullshit. That's what Holocaust denial is. Nothing but a bunch of bullshit. Yes, I said bullshit, to refer to the fact the Holocaust denial is a bunch of lies they like to tell their people to hide the evidence. This is pretty brutal. We need to make sure stuff like that never happens again. Just like we need to learn about the horrors of slavery in graphic detail to make sure stuff like that doesn't happen again. Some countries do practice slavery. Unfortunately. Even terrorist groups like ISIS practice it too. It's pretty horrifying seeing people being forced into submission by their masters. It's just horrible. Think about it. We had the Atlantic slave trade. Slaves were beaten. There are slaves in prison camps today. Like, look at North Korea. It's just horrifying. If I was to create a story about a potential fascist state, which prisoners were bred for labor, similar to how farm animals are selectively bred for food. Once they've been used up, they get killed. Factory farms are like prison camps. Really. Basically, cram as many animals as you can in one shed. Make sure they live their shitty-ass lives there. That's what factory farming is. The reason why factory farms deny animals veterinary care, they only care about profits, and that's about it. They don't care about the welfare of the animal. They only care about profits. see a lot of violence going on in our farms now. It's pretty brutal. It's also pretty sad. Violence against animals is a thing. We need to make it a thing of the past by ditching meat. By going vegetarian. Because the meat industry, they only care about profits, and that's about it. Oops. One thing we need to do is go towards vegetarianism, hunt sabotage, because I believe animal hunting is a form of it's a really extreme form of animal cruelty. Cruelty to a wild animal is what it is. Wild or domestic, whether an animal is roaming out in the wild or animals are kept as pets, you shouldn't abuse them. Whether they're domesticated or not, you shouldn't be abusing them. Because either way, it's still animal abuse. Look at the circus, for example. Animals are crammed into tiny-ass boxcars in the circus. In places that are unnatural for them. Like concrete pits. Some zoos, animals are fed unnatural diets that'll give them the shits. They need to treat animals better. Look at the Wakati Zoo. Animals are often neglected. It's pretty sad. Don't go to any roadside zoo. They're nothing but neglect, misery, sadness, and torture. Look at Chick-fil-A. Chickens are often abused in their suppliers. It's pretty sad. It's not just suppliers of Chick-fil-A that do it. Suppliers of every meat company do that too. Not just Chick-fil-A. But all the stores that sell meat to people. And smother that abuse with their guilt. Smother their guilt with it. This is just pretty sad. Seeing animals have to suffer like that. This is pretty sad. Pigs, just like chickens, they're bred to grow unnaturally large. With the pregnant female pigs crammed into something called gestation crates. Barely larger than they are. Once they give birth to sows, they're into slightly bigger crates for nursing. 3 months after they're born, they're snatched from their mothers, just like calves are snatched from their mothers for the dairy industry. This is pretty abusive. I'd rather have a pig as a pet. I agree that you shouldn't go to puppy mills for puppies. If PetSmart and Petco are going to supply their puppies, do it from an animal shelter. They shouldn't do it from a puppy mill. They shouldn't do it from puppy mills. Because puppy mills are one of the causes of a large euthanasia rate. Don't even go to a no-kill shelter either, because in no-kill shelters, animals spend years in there suffering from illness. It's best to sterilize your animals too. Spaying and neutering is important. The reason to spay and neuter is it's another way to reduce euthanasia rates. If I had a domesticated animal as a pet, I'm probably going to go for a pet chicken that I would rescue from a factory farm. I'd rescue the chicken, take the chicken to a veterinarian. Chicken bred for meat, they are bred to grow unnaturally large. With cattle, on the other hand, they are fed an unnatural diet that keeps them bloated and in pain. Oftentimes, they are beaten behind closed doors. The female cows, they are crammed into something called what they call a rape rack, where they forcibly put bull sperm in the cow to breed even more cattle for beef. Same thing happens on dairy farms too, but baby calves are used for veal. It is a product of extreme cruelty too. If I had a pet goat, occasionally I'd shear that goat. I'd be careful so I don't rip it, cut the skin. Animals used for entertainment, don't go to a bullfighting show. Ever. Because bulls are often abused. It's pretty sad for the bull. They end up losing a shit ton of blood. Don't go there. Don't even go to a circus that uses animals either. Because oftentimes they're beaten into submission with bull hooks. Ouch. Imagine being hit with a bull hook. You're not gonna like that. The protests is why Ringling Brothers closed for good. Don't go to a circus that uses animals, which is my advice. If you're watching this, you're thinking about going to a circus, don't go to one that uses animals. Because oftentimes, animals are beaten into submission, kidnapped from their mothers when they're very young. And for the big cats, they're often whipped. Ouch. It's gonna hurt. If I was to build a circus tent, instead of using animals, there'd be daredevils, sort of like Evel Knievel. And tigers, they naturally fear fire. They naturally fear fire. Which is why They often get whipped during training to go through rings of fire. This is just horrible. My advice to you, don't go to a circus that uses animals. If I end up doing an investigation video on factory farming, I'd report the abuse to local police. Millions of farmers get convicted. The farmers who are abusing the animals get convicted. Look at foie gras. It's a product of extreme cruelty too, as ducks are force-fed to be so fat. Look at the fur industry. Animals are bred to become overweight so they could have more skin. My advice to you, don't wear fur at all. It's my advice. It's just my advice. Don't be wearing fur. Because behind every fur coat there is suffering. If it has fur, real fur, leave it on the shelf. Leave it on the shelf if it has fur. With wool, shearers are paid by volume, not by the hour, which motivates them to become careless. It's pretty abusive. It's also really sad. Animals have to live like this. Unfortunately. Truth is, all meat is red meat. Whether it comes from a chicken, a cow, a turkey, or fish, fish are killed in the millions, in ways that would be illegal with any other animal. The fishing boats are like slaughterhouses for fish. Look at aquaculture. Underwater factory farming. They still face the same abuses too. If we keep overfishing, the world would be devoid of fish eventually. Look at SeaWorld. Whales are often drugged, crammed into tiny tanks. Yes, even pushed to their limits. Which is pretty bad. My advice, don't go to any aquatic theme park until they empty the tanks. Or if you do, don't watch the show, killer whale shows, or the dolphins. Because you're supporting extreme cruelty right there. One thing SeaWorld needs to do is retire all their animals to a seaside sanctuary. That's one thing they need to do. Retire their animals to a seaside sanctuary. Sanctuary. All marine theme parks, they need to retire their animals to a seaside sanctuary. I'd like for the Chinese government to cancel the Dog Meat Festival for good. Because that is one of the most abusive festivals out there. Any festival that any meat festival out there around the world is pretty abusive. But festivals involving fruits and vegetables primarily, much better. They'd be much better, in my opinion. Any festival involving meat is pretty abusive. If someone in China is watching this, if anyone in the world is watching this, don't go to the Dog Meat Festival. I advise you not to go to any meat festival. Because when you go to a meat festival, you're supporting extreme cruelty to animals. For all the big box restaurants like Mickey D's, Wendy's, they need vegan options in their menu too. I hope this message gets spread around the world. Let's hope the message gets spread around the world. And if it does get spread, my voice can change the world like this. And extreme violence is a product of capitalism. So is planned obsolescence. If you want to abolish... One thing we could do to abolish capitalism... What will happen when capitalism gets abolished? Everybody would get paid a living wage. There'd be massive subsidies on housing. There'd be more public housing for everybody. If I was a farmer living on the projects, some of the people living in the housing projects around the nation, some of them, they bust their asses just to make very little money. Some of those are factory farm workers. Some of them are Amazon workers too. Some of them, they work at theme parks. This is it for this video. I'll finish up next video. Thank you for watching. Leave a like if you liked this video, dislike if you disliked it, subs if you loved it. As always, peace out.